KBLA.com/fresh locations and find a store near you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Philadelphia 76ers general manager Daryl Morey confirmed that James Harden really does want to be traded. Harden is asking Morey to do a deal that sends him to the Clippers. At the moment, there is no other team the seven-time All-Star wants to play for if he can get out of Philly. Morey admitted he's trying to work something out for Harden and the Clippers, but only at the right price. He said he won't trade Harden to the Clippers or any other team unless the trade keeps the Sixers in contention for a title. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are off limits, plus the Clippers don't have any first-round draft picks until 2027. If the Clippers can put something on the table that impresses Morey, Harden will be in the Clippers uniform next season. The Dodgers keep rolling. They win by 7 in Baltimore, a 3-run homer for Jason Hayward. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
It's a whole lot of money in this smoke. It's a whole lot of money in this smoke. Ain't gon' keep me run no broke, that broke get old. Ain't gon' keep me run no get too bold. I'm allergic to that note, my wrist game on cold. I might paint my coupe white just to match with my toes.
Welcome to Wealth Building Wednesdays, where we center Black, women, and BIPOC-owned businesses, highlight opportunities and initiatives for underrepresented entrepreneurs, and center socially innovative enterprises, building generational prosperity, fostering real networking, and recycling Black dollars. It's Wealth Building Wednesdays on KBLA Talk 1580.
There's a whole lot of that's right. This is where we put the spotlight on recycling Black dollars, recycling local dollars, green dollars, all of those sustainable and socially innovative businesses. And I'm happy to welcome the proprietor of a local Black-owned business, which is committed to providing accessible, nutritious, plant-based meals inspired by LA street food. An LA native, a rapper, vegan chef, and community activist, Hugh Augustine. Welcome.
You doing?
Good. I know it's early for you with all those careers you got going, but it's good to hear your voice.
Thank you for having me at such an early moment in the day so we can get it started talking about some money.
Right? Money, all things green, right? So, tell me about. Let's start with the headline. Hugh's Hot Bowls. Where, when, how? Tell me about your business.
Hugh's Hot Bowls was conceived and started during the pandemic. I started my business the first week of the shutdown as a response to grocery stores and restaurants not having any food in the community. So what I did was I set all my meals at a certain price of $10 and just offered food from my home to my community, so neighbors, friends, family, people that live in the area of like Baldwin Hills and Lamert Park. And I just started off on my Instagram, and over time my business grew and grew. We caught wind of the LA Times, who did an article about us. From there, it kind of caught like wildfire through the city. And then we started getting press all over the place, from Bon Appetit to Munchies to Veg News. So that was our first year of being in business doing food from the house. Our second year of business, we partnered with Summit Everything Community Center in Watts and started providing meals for their community center, doing hot food. And so now we're still just expanding our business. We're working with more community organizations. We do a monthly market called Black Market Flea, which showcases all Black vendors. So, we're just getting involved in the LA food scene and seeing where it takes us.
I mean, it's actually kind of like you're also helping to create the LA food scene, really. I'm congratulations, by the way. I mean, it's not every day that a new business takes off like that. That you immediately start getting the following on IG and the note in the mainstream press, but also that community grassroots appeal. And I'm guessing, based on the fact that you've got a community center in Watts and neighbors in South LA, fiending for your food, that they're all surprised that it's vegan and they still like it.
Well, that's been the cool thing, is just expanding people's minds on what that means.
Right.
I think there is some type of stigma behind the word vegan, and something that I always like to remind people is this is just food,
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way of looking at it. I think the stigma is because there's a lot of people that have vegan restaurants that are nasty. I mean, I call myself a vegan omnivore because I'm not vegetarian anymore, nor vegan, but I like to eat at a lot of vegan places because they do vegetables better. And the goal is always to make most of my diet vegetables, regardless of what else
Right.
I might be taking in.
Yeah, I think the idea that when you say vegan, it means this like plant-based, soy-based product is not true.
Right.
Even though when you go to the grocery store and you go to the plant-based section, that's all you're seeing is all of these like meat alternatives.
All this processed
And
food,
so,
really, what it is. I mean,
right.
all the Beyond Meats and stuff, which, okay, is not necessarily that healthy.
Right, and so that's something that we also stay away from. So we don't have any soy products. We don't do any of those processed fake meats at Hugh's Hot Bowls. Everything is about whole foods and just creating something that's culturally relevant. So something that's very popular from our menu is the Soul Bowl, and that has collard greens, red beans and rice, yams, mac and cheese, cornbread, so it's still about bringing something to the community that's relevant and that's familiar, but just trying to make it a bit more healthy.
Yes, indeed. So tell me about the black market flea. I had heard of it, haven't been to it. How do we access that? How do we track that?
Yes, so the Black Market Flea is the last Saturday of every month at the Beehive, which is located on Central and 60th. And so Black Market Flea was started a few years ago as a way to create some community around all these different Black vendors that are in Los Angeles. And so it is exclusive to Black-owned businesses. And it's really
As
cool
vendors, but
because
anyone can come shop, right?
right, exactly. As vendors,
Just bring your money. Yeah.
Yeah, come spend your money with us. So we'll actually be there this weekend, and or not this weekend, but next weekend.
Next weekend.
We'll
And the Beehive is great. If you haven't been there, it's just a really, really fun place to hang out for some reason.
which is also, to my understanding, a Black-owned space.
Yeah, it is. That's my understanding as
think-
well. Yeah.
I
So
think
that's
that's
so
the
that's
whole point.
so that's like what hours that we can go and shop at all these Black businesses.
Black Market Flea is from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So it's an all-day thing. There's DJs, there's vendors, there's sometimes musical performances. So it's a really cool thing. It's all ages, so it's fun for the family. You can bring your kids out there. Um, it's a very cool, safe space.
Mm. And what about the Hughes hot bowls? Because your description of the soul bowl has made me instantly hungry at 7-Eleven
Yes.
in the morning. How can we try your food?
So yes, that will be our next pop up because right now we're operating more as a pop up restaurant. So you can be guaranteed to find us at Black Market City the last Saturday of every month. We also take on catering clients, and if you have a food festival or something that you'd like us to be involved with, you can text us at 323-400-2003, or you can send us an email at hughshotbowls@gmail.com.
Okay, so now hughshotbowls@gmail.com. I want to make sure we get that right. For catering, if we want to use a black-owned catering company, we want to try your food. But I wanted to ask you about this too, because I think it's a business model that some of our, I want to say, what Tavis would call chronologically gifted delegates may not be as familiar with, which is there's a lot of black-owned businesses right now operating on Instagram. I, for example, found my black nail tech on Instagram. Love, love, love. Nails by Prey. And it's just a different business model where talk to me about that. How is that working for you? I think there's a bit of a generational aspect to it in terms of
Well, I think
utilizing those businesses. Go ahead.
a big part of that is a response to COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And figuring out how can we still get people the services they need in the community when a lot of our retail spaces are in flux. And then also figuring out as young entrepreneurs, how can we have a business when it's difficult for us to obtain a lease on a building when, we're still building our clientele. A lot of these rents are really high in the neighborhood due to gentrification and all these other things, right? So it's just figuring out a way to use the internet as a platform and use our following as a platform to grow and sustain business while we figure out how can we get into a brick and mortar space.
So the way that works is we follow you at Hughes Hot Bowls on Instagram, right? We follow you,
Right.
and then we check in, and it tells us where you're going to be with your food, and we can go there and buy it. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, or if it's a service, you can make an appointment using the app, or if it's a product, you can actually buy the product on the app. And I just want a lot of our more next generation, our upper generation delegates to start to catch on to this, because it's a great way to patronize black-owned businesses who
Right.
may not have that brick and mortar, or they have a very tiny brick and mortar and they just do things by appointment. And so I would, start looking on Instagram, and you can start with Hughes Hot Bowls on Instagram, and I'm certainly going to be tracking you when we can find that pop-up. Thank you for being with us, Hugh Augustine. How can we see you rap?
You can check out my music on all streaming platforms. My videos are on YouTube, just under Hugh Augustine, HughAugustine. I just performed at the Juneteenth Festival on the Amazon stage in Leimert Park, and I'll be doing a headlining show sometime here in the fall. So you can check out my social media for updates on that.
Okay, Hugh's Hot Bowls, or we have just Hugh Augustine?
My personal page is Hugh Augustine.
Got it. Well, Hugh Augustine, congratulations to you. I think you're doing that thing, multiple streams of income, right? You got your chef work and your rap work, and I'm sure your community work. So congratulations to you on all of those things. And I will definitely be sampling soon one of Hugh's Hot Bowls.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. It's a Wealth Building Wednesday, and it's a great time to call me. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580, KBLA.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Attention boss ladies, it's time to refresh, restore, and renew. Announcing the Restored Leadership Brunch and Wellness Summit, Saturday, July 22nd at Levels in downtown Los Angeles. Enjoy delicious brunch and refreshing mimosas while networking with other boss ladies. Meet representatives from Nike, Puma, and the Los Angeles Lakers, and prepare to unlock your inner CEO with the amazing Dr. Karen, founder of the MK Circle CEO Institute. Sis, it's hard to prioritize yourself. That's why the Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation created the Restored Leadership Brunch and Wellness Summit. Connect, discover, refuel, and realign. Save your seat now at restoredevents.com. This is an exclusive event and seats will fill up fast. That's Saturday, July 22nd at 12 noon at Levels Downtown, located at 888 South Olive Street. Register now at restoredevents.com.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
The $5 cravings box is back at Taco Bell, and it's the real thing. We're talking a chalupa supreme, a cheesy, beefy 5-layer burrito, a crunchy taco, cinnamon twist, and a medium drink, all for just $5. That's a lot of food for not a lot of dollars. In other words, a wise business deal, like greeting clients with a firm handshake and a delicious 3-course meal. That's only $5. Order your $5 cravings box on the Taco Bell app today. At limited participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact local store for price and participation which vary. Drinks exclude freezes. Price excludes tax.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
800-920-1580. I think you know that, but I'm reminding you because it's a great time to call me on a beautiful day. And it's also a great time to pick up your phone and get the app on there if you're listening on your regular radio at 1580 AM. Then it's a great time to pick up your phone and put the KBLA 1580 app. It's free. You can get it on the App Store or the Google Play Store. Just type in KBLA and then 1580. And while we're recycling black dollars on a Wealth Building Wednesday, I sure would appreciate it if you would introduce the KBLA app to 2 of your friends. That's how we keep this one-of-a-kind station, this one-of-a-kind opportunity for black, frank dialogue, unbossed and unbothered dialogue going. So appreciate your spreading love. So if we were talking about the climate crisis, if you think it's just in LA, you're wrong. I didn't realize it's now the heat wave we're suffering right now is all over the United States, all across Europe and Asia. Hundreds of millions of people right now dealing with insane heat. Massive fires in Greece. Firefighters are scrambling to put out wildfires. It's very, very dry there. Beijing, China, suffering day after day of 95-degree heat. And, of course, the air pollution there is quite bad. Choking conditions. They're comparing to a sauna because of the humidity. The Middle East, you've seen similar kinds of conditions going on, and of course, all across the United States. Imagine if you're a delivery driver. Imagine if you are on a construction job and you can't just go inside. People are really suffering, and there are some deadly consequences. That's the perfect time for John Kerry to be in China, because China is literally feeling the heat right now. Japan too. They've put special cooling stations out, and basically this is what we'll be dealing with until we find a way to end our dependence on fossil fuels, on gas, on coal, and I hope on top of that we've got El Nino, so you've got this extreme scenario that I hope is a wake-up call. The oceans are changing color, changing from blue to green at an alarming rate throughout the world. So this is not just a U.S. problem, even though Phoenix did break that record that we talked about yesterday, almost 50 years since they've had 19 days in a row above 110 degrees, which is really crazy. Canada, the wildfires still raging there. 25 million acres have burnt so far. That's like if Kentucky burned the whole state. And they still have another month left in their fire season. This is a crisis. It's an emergency. It's not just global warming. It is the existential crisis of our generation and maybe a few generations to come. Lynette calling from LA. Good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. Thanks for taking my call. Reparations in memory of our ancestors. And we know that the struggle continues, but always to God be the glory. I wanted to bring up Evanston, Illinois, amongst other things, about how just a few days ago they were given reparations, and I don't know if you came across any of that information or not.
What do you mean
And
just a
also
few
they
days
got rid of
ago?
the cash.
They've been doing reparations for a couple of years in Evanston.
And then they got and then the state of Illinois got rid of the cash bail, And so I said, shoot, really, they're the progressive state. I mean, we can all just live here in California as being so progressive environmentally and racially diverse and whatever. But shoot, I'm like, what's happening in Illinois, And yet still we got the most regressive states, like Florida, that I just know we got to boycott. But I heard DeSantis open his mouth saying something about, I'm going to tear up the climate New Deal, once I get in office.
Right.
And he said this on this business show like a badge of honor. And I just, it just made me think, I say, this is some draconian stuff. And the party that he's a part of have that same idea. And right now they push this H.R. 899 to terminate the Department of Education. You can go to www.track.us. There's a whole bunch of draconian bills this week that they push it. I said, no. I said, really, what we better do is just wake up quick and elect all progressives, okay? And make sure that money come back to our banks, pretty much like Operation Breadbasket did, with Reverend Sullivan and them, that, when they was doing their push for the Poor People's Campaign with Dr. King adopted his breadbasket. He said, y'all got to put the money in these black banks. You got to deal with our black press. Any kind of initiative that that kind of stuff, we got to get progressive. And I'm just waiting on these folks to get a police union reform bill to the House. I really am. I'm sick and tired to hear about these LA County sheriffs and these LAPD.
I mean, but the thing, this good and well, Lynette, because you track politics, and I wasn't even aware of H.R. 899. I'm going to have to look that up. You track politics really closely. You know good and well if they get a police so-called reform or reimagining bill into the House, it's not going anywhere because Republicans have the majority.
Well, like I said, we better start hurrying up and electing a whole lot of progressives to get what we want.
That's true.
Reparations. Yeah, we got to do this.
Okay, but I see what you're talking about because Evanston, Illinois started a couple years ago giving reparations based on housing. In other words, if you were a black person who could, who had historically been in Evanston and discriminated against, you could get money towards your down payment or towards paying off your home. But I guess they've entered another phase now where they're giving money, cash money, to residents. It's $25,000 each to residents, and that's going to be that you have to have been there, lived there between 1969 and I can't remember when the out time is, and you have to, and you have to have been discriminated against, but if you were black in America during those days, you're pretty much discriminated against. Right. They're going to give them cash payments. So they will actually be the first city to do cash payments. And it's a small city, so that's only, it's 1919 to 1969. So most of the people getting this are very elderly. Or you could also be the descendant if you could prove you're a descendant of a person who lived there between 1919 and 1969 and discriminated against. Direct descendant discriminated in housing, you'll get $25,000. So that's something. It's a precedent. I don't know how Republicans are. I'm sure they're scheming on how to come back and take that $25,000 back. But so far it's impacting 140 elderly black Americans. It's something. I'll take it. Lynette, you there?
Huh?
Yes, I said I'll take it. It's something.
Yeah. Well, and we are still in the midst of our civil rights being rolled back, and Christine Ferris King just passed, our matriarch of the civil rights movement. But hey, they said, our queen mother have left us and went to be with the Lord, but the fight is still going to continue. When we have our march on Washington in August, they don't know we are still kicking. We might be down, but we are still alive, and we are still kicking. So don't think that this is the end of our civil rights. So we are still in flux with all these issues in housing, in jobs, and everything. This is, I should say, this is sort of quasi-slavery kind of situation, permanent underclass, and we need a protected status in this country. I think that should be a part of reparations too.
Well, we do have a protected status in theory. We do have legally, black people are a protected class. How is that protection really showing up? That's another question, Lynette. But legally, we're a protected class.
And why can't we charge systematic genocide and take this even farther than the March on Washington? Just go ahead to the UN and say charge it systematic genocide, because it ain't no other name for this.
Yeah. $25,000 is not a lot for 12 generations of our ancestors who worked without pay, but it's a start, and that's coming from a very small town, Evanston, Illinois. So that's one of the reasons why I say we should be looking at reparations on a city, county, state, and federal, as well as a corporate level. If you got $25,000, from the city, 25 from the state, 25 from the county, 25 from the feds, probably 50 from the feds, and then $1 million from the corporations, we'd be straight. But I'll take it as a precedent, and one step at a time. This is a move beyond where Evanston started, which was, housing repairs, down payments, or payments. And so, remember, Illinois, he might not be a progressive, but he was our first black president. They also brought you Barack Obama. We've got news, traffic, and sports, then more conversation. Call me, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The Minnesota Supreme Court is denying an appeal from Derek Chauvin in the killing of African-American George Floyd. Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer found guilty of murdering Floyd after kneeling on his neck for over 9 minutes, filed a last-ditch appeal to revoke the conviction. He was sentenced to 21 years in federal prison last year. Michigan's Attorney General says she filed charges against 16 false electors who signed paperwork claiming former President Trump won the 2020 election. Attorney General Dana Nessel alleged on Tuesday that the group met in the basement of the state's Republican Party headquarters to sign certificates claiming they were qualified electors. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Prime members save more at your Amazon Fresh store. As a Prime member, you'll save 10% on hundreds of items in store, from organic produce to pantry staples to handcrafted pizza. Head to Amazon.com/fresh locations and find a store near you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Philadelphia 76ers general manager Daryl Morey confirmed that James Harden really does want to be traded. Harden is asking Morey to do a deal that sends him to the Clippers. At the moment, there is no other team the seven-time All-Star wants to play for if he can get out of Philly. Morey admitted he's trying to work something out for Harden and the Clippers, but only at the right price. He said he won't trade Harden to the Clippers or any other team unless the trade keeps the Sixers in contention for a title. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are off limits, plus the Clippers don't have any first-round draft picks until 2027. If the Clippers can put something on the table that impresses Morey, Harden will be in the Clippers uniform next season. The Dodgers keep rolling. They win by 7 in Baltimore, a 3-run homer for Jason Hayward. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is everyday.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, could potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Less money for the exact same thing. Hope this is clear enough. Consumer Cellular, when freedom calls, they're here to answer. Switch today and get a second month of service for free. Go to consumercellular.com/free month and enter promo code free month. Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular's single line 5 gigabyte data plan and unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023. Promotion subject to terms and conditions.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You do. I appreciate you being here, whether you're in the chat on youtube.com, KBLA 1580, on these phones at 800-920-1580, or just walking around talking back to your phone, talking back to your radio, and never actually getting on the air. Of course, I prefer talking to you, but I love that you're here, present however you show up. If you don't have the app, please get it. If you haven't visited our YouTube, please do so. You are welcome in all of those places. So yeah, we're having a climate crisis kind of a month. Really, the past week has been particularly telling. The president of Greece dipped out of a meeting with European leaders to go oversee firefighting. I don't usually like to just obsess too much on the negative, but I do think that it's important the point that, Fatima made, which is that we have the tools to fix this. We have to insist on it. And for me, one of the positives here, if we talk about good news, is the fact that there's a large group of younger Republicans, particularly those who are educated, but even those who aren't. Generation Z and Generation Y, the millennials and the Generation Z, Republicans are not in denial about the climate crisis the way that the older Republicans are. And this could actually mean the salvation of our planet, because if we cannot get together around anything else, maybe we can get together around this. I don't believe in bipartisanship. I think bipartisanship, for the most part, is a mirage. It's like the Easter Bunny. It's something we say that rarely happens. Exception, there are some people that, make deals. I mean, Biden calls his infrastructure plan bipartisan, but really it's a Democratic bill. So you had 3 or 4 Republicans that, went along with it or whatever. But is that truly bipartisanship? Does that happen from both sides of the aisle in a balanced or even significant way? No, it's a Democratic-led initiative, which President Biden can count as one of the big successes of his administration. But I believe the climate emergency is one place where we could actually see real bipartisanship in the fact that the younger generations of conservatives are smart enough to at least understand that they cannot enact their agenda of controlling your life and whether or not you give birth and whether or not you get to go to college, whether or not you have a fair shot at paying for college compared to the wealthy, whether or not they decide to continue to legalize discrimination, not just against LGBTQ plus folks, but against, re-legalizing it against black people and indigenous people and others. None of that draconian agenda can be enacted if there's no planet and we all die. And I think the younger generation of conservatives is more tuned in with the science and less in denial. So this could be an opportunity. And I know the other area where we've seen some movement with conservatives is the prison industrial complex, because the over-incarceration of people sort of overlaps with some of the libertarian or anti-government sentiments of some conservatives. And I put air quotes around anti-government because many conservatives call themselves anti-government, but they're always trying to get jobs in government, i.e. running for office, and they like government when it suits them. They like government when it's controlling your uterus. They like government when it's giving money back to rich people and redistributing wealth from the poor to the wealthy, which is what has been happening through taxation in this country for the past 2-3 decades, right? The poor, the low income, the under-resourced pay the same sales tax as the very wealthy. The very wealthy use bookkeeping tricks to avoid paying any taxes at all or paying very little, while using a disproportionate amount of the commons, meaning the water, the electricity, to power their huge mansions, their multiple vehicles, their corporations. And they pay a proportionately much smaller amount of money out of their incomes and their inheritances and their horizontal income, their capital gains. So the fact that there is some crossover on key issues, I think the over-incarceration of people is a key issue. But more key, if we have to rank things, is having a habitable planet, one that can sustain human, animal, and plant life. I mean, Europe, interestingly enough, on this issue is actually behind the United States. They're just now getting around to cooling stations. And yeah, I quoted that number right earlier. It was 61,000 people that died in Europe last summer from heat. That's the official number. Now, Iqbal Zubair says that according to her sources, the underreporting of heat-related deaths is about a multiplier of 6, which would mean, 360,000 people died. We don't know. 61, even if it's an undercount, is way too much. It's been over 100 degrees in Rome this week. They've got the cities have to mobilize a task force to hand out water and basically peel people off the ground who are passing out from heat stroke at outdoor markets. The Japanese authorities are doing the same things. I guess in Kyoto it was almost 100 degrees. A city called Toyota City, I'm not familiar with that one, in Japan, hit 102 degrees, and they had to cancel all outdoor gym activities and other school activities that take place outside. And this is just the beginning. So, I'm telling us this while it's hot because I feel like maybe we will take it more seriously when we feel it in our bodies. There's a town in southwestern China that apparently hit the highest temperature ever recorded in that nation, 126 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where we are now. India, similar things going on. So what does that mean in 5 years, in 10? Apparently, there's at the Persian Gulf International Airport, this is in Iran, there's something called the heat index, which tells you not what the temperature technically is, but what it feels like when you go outside. Well, the heat index at the Persian Gulf International Airport this week was 152 degrees. 152 degrees. I'm just praying. I'm praying. And they have crazy 65% humidity, so you're basically in a sauna. And of course, Death Valley made it to 128 on Sunday here in California. I'm just praying that this is what will make us take this emergency seriously. Love to hear from you on this and other issues. 800-920-1580. It's KBLA Talk 1580. We're unapologetically progressive.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Hollywood Walk of Fame stars in 2024. Stay tuned to find out who's in next year's class. I'm Aisha Cairo with your K-Black Minute News. A new group of 31 entertainment professionals across film, television, radio, recording, and sports entertainment will have their names etched into Hollywood's history in 2024. One of the most celebrated names on the list was the beloved Chadwick Boseman. Others for the class of 2024 in Hollywood Walk of Fame was this year's Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh, Ohio in the motion picture category. Other notable names include Chris Pine, Gwen Stefani, Andre, Dr. Dre, Young, Otis Redding, Christina Ricci, Brandy Norwood, Harry Washington, and more. The dates for the star ceremonies have not yet been scheduled. To find out all 31 inductees, visit youtube.com/Walk of Fame.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
Right now, it's so ironic, too. I was talking about the younger generation of Republicans, the young people who are looking at not having a future themselves, like the teenager I was speaking to on yesterday. So what are they going to do about it? The reason I say it's ironic because at the same time these folks are pushing for terrible and very bad ideas like the Mountain Valley Pipeline, which would potentially poison the water supply for millions of people on the East Coast. Right there, that was the stocking stuffer that fake Democrat Joe Manchin asked for, right, in order to support, I believe it was the so-called bipartisan infrastructure bill. And at the same time, they're pushing for more oil and gas drilling and more dismantling the Environmental Protection Agency, the extreme court taking away its powers. Former, he who shall not be named, 45, saying that he wants to, and we talked about this with Dr. Gerald Horn yesterday. If you missed it, the podcast is up at KBLA 1580 or wherever you get your podcasts. You can hear our shows, any shows that you missed. They're trying to put the Environmental Protection Agency and all of these regulatory bodies under the direct control of the president. So if the 45th president is also the 47th president, that's part of the plan. But the Heritage Foundation and other conservative groups are making these plans to make an authoritarian tweak, if you will. It's not more than a tweak, changing our system of governance. They're putting these plans in place to present to, and by present to, I mean put pressure on any Republican who takes office. So it's like, even if Republicans are saying, okay, well, we're not going to be in denial, at least the younger ones, about the climate crisis anymore. With the right hand, they may be fixing something. With the left hand, they're breaking it. Speaker Kevin McCarthy visited a natural gas drilling site in Ohio this week, and he was doing that to promote the Republicans' plan to increase domestic production of energy from fossil fuels. But when he was asked about the climate emergency and the forest fires in Canada, which continue to, impact the air quality here in the United States, he said that he wants to plant 1 trillion trees. So this is, even though it's laughable because he's over there trying to ruin the planet, increase, fossil fuel production, it's a movement in terms of consciousness, because at least there's an acknowledgement that we need to plant 1 trillion trees, that we need to, that the climate emergency is real. Whether or not they'll do anything about that, whether or not it's even doable, is another question. But at least the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the United States of America, a Republican who is kowtowing at every opportunity to the little neo-Nazi caucus inside the House of Representatives, at least he's not denying the climate emergency right now. And I think it's because it would be politically awkward for them to do so with all of the impacts that you and me and the average citizen are seeing, right? To our quality of life, the changing color of the oceans, the extreme heat that is actually killing people, the fact that, our oceans are changing color and heating up. The Florida coast, the actual water itself, seeing a sudden heat wave that scientists say surprises them. I hate that phrase. Scientists were surprised by, because the models that scientists have already created about what's happening to our planet are scary enough. So when we get scientists surprised by sudden marine heat wave off the coast of Florida, that's nothing I want to hear. It threatens those coral reefs. They're saying we could see the biggest coral bleaching ever in history. This is the highest on record that the sea surface temperatures have ever been since we started tracking that. And scientists from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration are saying they didn't expect the heating to happen so early in the year and to be so extreme. Ocean temperatures close to 97 degrees in some areas. Yeah. Hello. Ring, ring, ring. That's our alarm. I'm Dominique DePrima. I don't mean to be alarmist, but sometimes you got to wake up and get moving. And this is one of those times, planet Earth. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
And next hour, we'll be talking with Dr. Corte, so we can dive down into these indictments of fake electors and the mounting legal troubles of the former president. But also, I want to talk about third-party candidates and what that means for the big picture. Because all of these things do impact the planet. They impact our livelihood, inflation, what we're doing about our power grid. Of course, that is going to be super crucial. Sustainable energy, how we survive these very high temperatures, and the challenges that our planet faces are going to be determined in large part by, who we elect. And if Hugh shall not be named gets back in there, it's going to be a problem. So why are you obsessing on coral reefs, Dominique, you may ask me? Not just for their natural beauty. It's part of the ecosystem, the food chain, the biodiversity that makes the world livable, that makes us not an arid, lifeless planet, right? So the coral reefs support the little fishies that we like to look at when we go snorkeling. That, of course, impacts tourism. So there's that. But all of that little algae, fish, plant life that depends on the coral reefs to survive supports the bigger fish that we eat to survive, right? So it's, I always say we're all on the food chain. That's why if you want to be vegan, I support you. If you don't, I support you. We're all on the food chain. You eat the cow would eat you if it could. And so when that cycle of life is interrupted, it has ripple effects, some of which we don't even know or understand yet, the unintended consequences, but some of which we can predict. So those big game fish become less available to support human life. Those oceans become less available to absorb the heat that we are creating with the greenhouse gases. The oceans absorb a lot of that. When they heat up, as we're seeing right now in Florida, they can no longer do that, which means the planet will heat up even faster. All of these things contribute to the cycle of life. So it's not just, the pretty coral reefs. It's, 25% of marine species, according to this article in CNN, depend on coral reefs for survival at some point in their life, right? So that's a huge blow to the cycle of life. And if we keep going at the rate we are going, all of the Earth's coral reefs could be dead because they are living things by 2100. That's 75 years. And that's the projection now. So when I hear scientists surprised by, I think maybe it could be faster than we think. And it's time to start paying attention. And as Fatima pointed out, all of these things tend to impact Black people more because of where we live, because of economics, because of resources. Yes, this is our issue. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and then my colleague, the incredible Dr. Corte, joins me on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. I'm Mike Moore. Now